Hi, and welcome to my very first tutorial. My name is Silvia, and I'm an artist and children's books illustrator based in Bologna, Italy. I hope this video will be useful for you, and I'm always available for questions and curiosities, so do not hesitate. You can find all my contacts in the description box below. Okay, without further ado, let's start this illustration together. Here there are my Moleskine sketchbook and my favorite pencil, the Color Ace in Carmine Red. First of all, I have already drawn the main part in my sketchbook because this drawing is inspired by the series Young Sheldon on Netflix. And while I was watching it, I saw a scene of little Sheldon sitting in the school canteen and having a huge universe vision, and I had to draw it. So let's start taking a picture of the sketch that I'll send to my iPad straight away. So let's say goodbye to my sketchbook and let's start the actual thing. Some technical info. This is an iPad Pro 11 inches, 3rd generation, and I draw always with the Apple Pencil 2nd generation, but never without this. This is a holder made of silicone and it helps a lot in reducing the stress of the pressure on your hand and fingers. Last but not least, I use this little glove for the last 2 fingers, and this helps with the iPad touchscreen, since I hate when you place your hand on the screen and it recognizes it with the pen, so you end up drawing with the palm of your hand. Let's choose a canvas. I always choose a big one because you never know what an illustration can become. So let's go for an A3 format. Then we go to Add, Insert a photo, and choose our sketch. Now we have it directly on our canvas as a layer. I'm just resizing it to fit the canvas and then dropping down the opacity around 20% so it doesn't bother you, but you can still see it and follow the lines. For my sketches, I always use this brush. This is a brush I bought in a pack of pastels and pencils by Marco Guadalupi. On Instagram is MG Brushes, and it's called Pencil Luna. This texture and the lines I can create are just like a real pencil, and I love it. And now I simply move the lines and define the base of my illustration. I'm not sticking with the lines of my sketch. If needed, I redefine them digitally, and it's something very free. I really don't have a plan, just the base concept. For the eyes, if the face is right in front of the observer, I simply select the area with the first eye with the freehand tool, and then I copy and paste it, flip horizontally, and move it to the right place. Easy peasy. Yeah, here I'm still refining the lines for my digital drawing, just following the original sketch and adjusting it here and there. In order to draw the table and chair, I need straight lines. So I create a new layer and choose the Drawing Assist option for it. You can see that whatever is the stroke, the line I will draw on this layer is always straight, horizontal or vertical. This way I can easily draw the orthogonal lines I need for the table and the chair. When we remove the Drawing Assist option, strokes are natural and follow your movements as usual. Okay, let's speed up a bit this step, and you can see that I'm moving some parts of the drawing now before coloring in order to have everything in the right place. Before coloring, I always duplicate my file. I'm an anxious person, can you tell? In the new file, I remove the original sketch layer since we don't need it anymore, and I merge all the remaining layers into one. Now, I decrease the opacity of this layer to around 20 to 30% and I create a new layer below the sketch. And now, let's start coloring. I always apply the base colors with the 6B pencil brush of Procreate, but slightly modified by me in order to have a wider stroke. I don't really have a fixed step-by-step for this part. In fact, you can see I'm starting a bit random with the face here. But something I usually do is a color test, very rough and preliminary, just to decide the colors before starting. So I'm looking for references on my phone because the background of this illustration will be a galaxy or something related to space and the universe. And Pinterest is one of my favorite sources of references. So I add another layer below all the others because this will be the background, and now the struggle begins. Finding the right colors is one of the hardest parts of the process for me. First of all, a dark blue background, simply dropping the color from the color wheel to the layer. Now I choose another brush, which is the soft brush from Procreate, because I need soft touches of colors and no sharp lines. And this brush is perfect for this. I usually think in terms of analogous and complementary colors in order to have the right balance and the accent on the parts of the illustration we want the observer will focus on. And now let's shift to analogous colors of blue, so all the colors close to it, going up towards the red. For the little guy's outfit, I choose green. Since the background is mainly purple and red, I pick the complementary color in order to have a nice contrast between the subject and the background. So now I'm going on with the color test, and sorry for my head popping out in the frame sometimes. I'm still trying to figure out how to record this kind of video without my head included. When the dummy colors are done, I shrink the layer and move it somewhere on the canvas. This way I can have always a reference and I can pick the color directly from there. And now we can start properly coloring the illustration with the 6B pencil brush. I choose carefully each layer to put my colors on, and you'll see why very soon. Let's speed this up a bit as well, since it can be boring to watch after a while. Now that the base color has been applied, I start with details and shadows. I create a new layer on top of the one already created, select clipping mask and start working on it. This way you will color only the part of the layer below. 95% of shadows, details and textures are created in such layers. I use the 6B pencil for large areas, and for all the others I always use the same brush I use for the sketches, the Pencil Luna by ENG brushes. So here you can see me adding all the details on top of the base colors for each object in the illustration. The clipping mask option is crucial for me at this stage. As you can see, it may happen that while I'm coloring, I realize that the combination I've chosen doesn't convince me 100% and I change them along the way. I love adding textures and elements to the objects. This way they look more interesting and convincing. For the skin textures, for example cheeks or hands, I always use the Bonobo chalk brush, because its textures is just perfect for this according to me. For the nose, since it's very small and my brush is very wide, I use the selection tool and I select only the interesting area. Now I can color only that area with no effect in the remaining part. Isn't that cool? For the shadows, I create a new layer for each one, select clipping mask, multiply as blending mode, and then I decrease the opacity to about 40% or similar, depending on how dark I want the shadow to be. Remember that all the shadows are done with the Pencil Luna by ENG brushes. Sometimes you can see me hiding the sketch layer, and this is because I always want to be sure the final color lines are coherent and smooth. And sometimes the sketch is misleading, so I need to go back and forth to be sure. Okay, I'm almost at the end of this. Now it's time for some more textures and more depth to the illustration. This step is done with the brush Soft Crayon 2.3 by Poopikatt, and I love the texture. The process is the same. I create a new layer with the clipping mask option and multiply blending mode, and then I go over the parts which need more depth.
Into the place, dispatch you from a race. My heart, it started racing.
The main subject is pretty much done, and now I move to the background because for now we have only the base rough color and I need to redefine it. For this I decided to use the Cloudy Cloud brush by Art. I like this texture a lot and it seems to be quite good for a galaxy. I'm adding also some stars with the Speckles brush, always by Art. She has created this Royal Textures brush set, which is gorgeous, and it's always fun to include them in my drawings. Now, with the soft brush, I'm adding a layer of light because I want this illustration to shine. I choose an extremely light purple and draw a blob of light on the layer. If you select the overlay blending mode, this results in an accentuated light in all the layers below, giving the illustration a gorgeous light, and you can use it also to accent something, to lead the eyes to a certain part of the work. After I've decided on the opacity of the layer, I move it right above all the others, in order to have this beautiful light on the little guy as well. Now the very last bits. Some hints of light here and there with the Pencil Luna brush by ENG brushes to emphasize the parts which are directly hit by light. And now is the signature time. Some time ago, I've created my own brush for it. This way I don't have to write it all the time, and it's very useful. And that's it. The illustration is done. I hope this step-by-step tutorial has been useful and interesting for you, and if you have questions, please do not hesitate to leave me a comment below. More tutorials will be uploaded on my channel, so if you like this kind of content, please consider subscribing to my channel. Thank you so much for watching. See you in the next video. Bye!